The INFJ reputation as a lone wolf comes not from a dislike for people, but from a complex interplay of their inner world, deep emotional processing, and strong need for authenticity in relationships. INFJs have a dominant function, introverted intuition. It is this cognitive function that pushes them to seek meaning beyond the surface, constantly connecting dots that others might overlook. This inward focus makes them appear distant or private, even to those who know them well. But while they may seem quiet or withdrawn, their minds are usually intensely active, engaged in reflection or visioning a better world. INFJs have extrovert feeling as their auxiliary function. This cognitive function allows them to tune into the emotions and needs of others with remarkable precision. This emotional radar can be both a gift and a burden. It enables them to form deep bonds and offer genuine compassion, but it also exposes them to emotional overwhelm. They often find themselves absorbing the emotional burden of people around them, leading to an overload that necessitates rest. Unlike extroverted types who recharge through social interaction, INFJs need solitude to recalibrate and regain emotional equilibrium. Their alone time isn't just restful, it's restorative and essential for mental clarity. Check out our newly released INFJ playbook. The link is in the description of this video. The lone wolf tendency is also reinforced by their idealism. INFJs are not interested in surface-level interactions or shallow friendships. They seek deep, soulful connections, ones built on trust, mutual understanding, and shared values. Unfortunately, these kinds of relationships are rare. The disconnect between what INFJs yearn for in relationships and what they often encounter in the real world can leave them feeling alienated or misunderstood. Rather than settling for less, they often choose solitude over compromise. This preference can be mistaken for aloofness or elitism, but it is more accurately a protective mechanism, a way of preserving their integrity and emotional energy. INFJs are also independent thinkers. Even though they are driven by their concern for humanity and others' well-being, they are not easily swayed by popular opinion or societal norms. They march to the beat of their own internal compass, often driven by a quiet sense of mission or purpose. This individualism can further set them apart from the crowd, reinforcing the lone wolf image. They don't conform for the sake of belonging, and this sometimes leaves them on the periphery of social circles. Their inner complexity also contributes to their sense of isolation. INFJs often feel like paradoxes, introverted yet empathetic, idealistic yet realistic, logical yet emotional. These internal contradictions make them difficult to categorize, even for themselves. They may long for connection, yet push it away when it feels too superficial. They may crave understanding, but hesitate to reveal their deepest thoughts, fearing that others won't grasp their true essence. This internal push and pull make solitude not only appealing, but often necessary. Despite their lone wolf nature, INFJs are not misanthropic. They care deeply about people, sometimes too deeply. Their solitude is not about rejection of society, but a means of preserving their sensitivity and aligning with their internal values. When they do choose to connect, they do so with authenticity and depth, forming bonds that are anything but ordinary. The INFJ's lone wolf identity often has roots in childhood, where many INFJs begin to sense their difference from others early on. While other children might be drawn to energetic group play or noisy environments, the young INFJ is more likely to be found daydreaming, reading, or quietly observing the dynamics around them. Their natural sensitivity and intuitive insight often make them feel like outsiders looking in. They see undercurrents in conversations that others miss and ask questions that seem too deep or abstract for their age, leading peers, and sometimes even adults, to misunderstand or dismiss them. This early experience of being different can foster a sense of emotional distance that follows them into adulthood. They may learn to withhold parts of themselves to avoid judgment or rejection, becoming more private and guarded. They often internalize the idea that they are too much, too intense, too deep, too quiet, too idealistic for the world around them. Rather than continually subjecting themselves to the draining effort of trying to fit in where they don't belong, they find peace in withdrawing, where they can be fully themselves without compromise. Solitude is where INFJs are most aligned with their inner voice. Their introspective nature isn't just a preference, it's how they make sense of life. Time alone allows them to sift through the emotional and philosophical complexities they carry. It's not uncommon for INFJs to spend long hours journaling, engaging in solitary creative pursuits, or contemplating spiritual and existential questions. Their need for solitude isn't simply about recharging, it's about realignment. In stillness, they reconnect with their ideals, their visions, and the meaning they find behind seemingly mundane events. In social situations, INFJs often wear a mask, not to deceive, but to navigate. They can be charismatic, attentive, and even engaging in small doses. Their extroverted feeling function enables them to attune to others' needs and adapt accordingly. But this social adaptability comes at a cost. Every interaction, no matter how seemingly trivial, is processed deeply. INFJs don't simply talk. They analyze tone, intent, subtext, and emotional energy. This level of processing is exhausting and can leave them feeling emotionally raw and disoriented afterward, especially if the interaction lacked authenticity or left them feeling unseen. Because of this, INFJs are selective about who they allow into their inner world. They crave profound connection, but they won't open up unless they sense genuine resonance. They often feel lonely in crowds, not due to a lack of people, but due to a lack of depth. It's not uncommon for INFJs to go through long periods of life with only one or two close confidants, or sometimes none at all. Yet, despite this, they are rarely bored or dissatisfied in their solitude. Their inner world is rich, layered, and meaningful, a sanctuary where their deepest truths live undisturbed. Another factor that reinforces the INFJ lone wolf path is their aversion to conflict and superficiality. INFJs are peace seekers by nature, but they are also deeply principled. They struggle in environments filled with service, power struggles, or emotional volatility. When confronted with these dynamics, rather than confront head-on, they often withdraw. They believe in resolving conflict, but only if there is mutual respect and willingness to grow. Otherwise, they retreat, preserving their inner harmony rather than engaging in futile battles. The INFJ's idealism can be both a guiding light and a heavy burden. They are often driven by a sense of calling or purpose, a mission that only they can fully see and feel. This often sets them apart from others whose goals are more conventional or pragmatic. The INFJ sees what could be, what should be, and feels compelled to pursue it, even if that means walking alone. Whether they are artists, counselors, advocates, or philosophers, they often work best in solitude, channeling their insights into meaningful contributions that reflect their unique vision of the world. In romantic relationships, the lone wolf aspect persists. INFJs are hopeless romantics, but they are also cautious. They hold out for a connection that mirrors their depth and values. Casual dating or surface-level flirtation rarely appeals to them. They need to feel seen in their entirety, something that few people are capable of doing. And so, they often wait. They'd rather be alone than with someone who doesn't truly understand them. This patience, or even isolation, isn't rooted in bitterness. It's a quiet strength, a testament to their unwavering commitment to authenticity. Trust is also at the heart of the INFJ's solitary nature. Because they perceive so much and so deeply, they are acutely aware of the fragility of human interaction. They see the ways people betray each other, manipulate, and compromise values for acceptance or gain. They understand how easy it is to be misunderstood and how rare it is to be truly seen. Thus, INFJs don't offer their trust easily. Vulnerability is sacred to them, and they won't expose their inner world unless they sense that it will be held with care and reverence. Until such a connection is forged, and that may take years, they often remain emotionally self-contained, wrapped in their own world of thought, reflection, and internal truth. This tendency is further amplified by the INFJ's natural propensity for self-sufficiency. Unlike many types who turn outward for direction, validation, or decision-making, INFJs look inward. Their dominant introverted intuition equips them to process life internally, relying on patterns, insights, and deeply personal understandings rather than external inputs. This creates a sense of inner authority that can be both grounding and alienating. Grounding because it gives them stability in uncertain environments. Alienating because others often don't understand how they arrive at their conclusions or why they make certain life choices. Their wisdom is quiet, their certainty private, and they are rarely interested in persuading others. Instead, they walk their own path, content to be misunderstood if that means staying true to their vision. This quiet independence is often mistaken for coldness or emotional distance, especially in a world that celebrates loud confidence and outward expression. But in truth, INFJs feel more than most. They just express it differently. Their emotions are deep and enduring or not reactive. When they form bonds, they are intense and lifelong. But their love is like a hidden river, powerful, steady, and mostly unseen by the casual passerby. They may spend years caring for someone in silence, offering subtle support or watching from a distance, never demanding attention or recognition. And if that bond is broken or disrespected, the INFJ withdraws not out of spite, but from heartbreak. When their trust is betrayed or their values compromised, they don't argue. They vanish. That is the way of the lone wolf. Creativity also plays a significant role in shaping the INFJ's solitary temperament. Their minds are constantly teeming with visions, narratives, and abstract connections. Many INFJs are drawn to the arts, writing, or any medium that allows them to give form to their inner world. The creative process for them is not a hobby. It is an existential need, a translation of intuition into something tangible. But this process often requires silence, time, and space, which the outside world rarely offers freely. So they retreat. They build sanctuaries, mental, emotional, and physical, where their imagination can breathe. These spaces are sacred, not because they are elaborate, but because they are theirs. And it is in these sanctuaries, away from the noise of the world, that INFJs do their most meaningful work. Even their altruism, which is central to the INFJ identity, is tinged with solitude. They often feel a profound sense of responsibility for others, sometimes even humanity at large. But unlike extroverted feelers who serve through engagement and group coordination, INFJs often help from behind the scenes. They are the quiet healers, the anonymous helpers, the unseen protectors who step in, make a difference, and fade away. This gives them a paradoxical role in society. They're deeply invested in others, yet emotionally isolated. They carry the pain of the world, often silently, often alone. The INFJ's relationship with time also feeds their lone wolf existence. They are not people of the moment. They live on a longer arc, concerned with legacy, meaning, and the impact of today's choices on tomorrow's world. This future-focused orientation can alienate them from people who prioritize instant gratification or short-term thinking. Their conversations often veer toward philosophical or existential questions, and their dreams are rarely conventional. They seek transformation, not transaction, depth, not diversion. The INFJ's lone wolf nature is, at its core, a spiritual and psychological necessity. Their detachment from the everyday hustle is not a rejection of life, but a deep longing for something purer, more conscious, and whole. While others may chase careers, accolades, or belonging in social hierarchies, INFJs are often quietly pursuing something less visible: inner peace, moral clarity, and the realization of an authentic life. This pursuit often puts them at odds with the current pace and values of the world, and so they remove themselves, not out of contempt, but out of self-preservation. One of the most misunderstood elements of the INFJ's solitude is how active it actually is. From the outside, it may appear as withdrawal, avoidance, or even depression. But inside, the INFJ is constantly building, evaluating, dreaming, questioning. Their solitude is filled with quiet labor, the shaping of ideals, the processing of emotional textures, the building of inner frameworks to make sense of pain, beauty, contradiction, and truth. They do not seek the crowd's noise because their internal dialogue is louder, more pressing, more real. Their isolation is not an escape, it's an encounter. a reckoning with the complexity of life, and often a preparation for the service they feel called to offer the world. What drives the INFJ deeper into solitude over time is the repetitive experience of being misunderstood. While all people crave to be known, INFJs often feel that few even understand how to begin knowing them. Their thought processes are nonlinear, their emotional worlds vast but guarded, their loyalties invisible yet unshakable. They can hold opposing truths in their minds without contradiction and feel both hope and despair at once without confusion. These internal nuances are hard to articulate, and harder still for others to comprehend. When they try to explain themselves, they often sense that people hear only fragments. So, eventually, many INFJs stop explaining. They retreat inward, where their full complexity is not only accepted but essential. Their loyalty is intense but quiet. An INFJ may stay emotionally invested in someone for years after they've lost contact, holding space for that person in their hearts and minds without a single outward sign. This inward constancy is why they are so deeply affected by betrayal or emotional dissonance. When trust is broken, or when they sense a misalignment in values, they retreat not just physically, but spiritually. They disappear from a place that once felt sacred to them, and while they may still carry love, they often do not return. Their exits are usually final, though rarely dramatic. They will simply fade from someone's life the way they entered, softly, silently, completely. What makes the INFJ's solitude feel so different from loneliness is the depth of their internal world. They are rarely idle inside. Even in their most isolated moments, they are writing novels in their minds, constructing new worlds, imagining futures, or engaging in deeply layered thought experiments. Their intuition connects them to something vast, some might say divine. In solitude, they often feel closer to this source, more attuned to their sense of purpose. They are spiritual beings, whether or not they follow a formal path, and their internal solitude becomes sacred ground. They enter it not just to escape, but to listen to themselves, to their vision, to something larger than them that whispers in symbols and dreams. Despite all of this, INFJs do long to be found. Not by many, just one, maybe two. They long for those rare connections where words aren't necessary, where their silences are understood, their complexity welcomed, their solitude respected. They hope, not always out loud, that someone will come along who doesn't demand them to be louder, faster, more open, more explainable. Someone who doesn't ask them to choose between love and freedom. The paradox of the INFJ is that while they can spend years alone, content with their inner life, they never completely give up the hope of being truly seen. They wait, not passively, but faithfully. They tend to themselves, to their inner garden, preparing a place for that rare soul who might one day understand that their solitude was never a wall, but a door. A door that only opens when approached with patience, gentleness, and truth. Until then, the INFJ walks alone, not out of bitterness, not because they think no one is good enough, but because solitude for them is sacred. It is not absence. It is presence with self. It is where they remember who they are. Check out our newly released INFJ playbook. The link is in the description of this video.